I'm sorry.
Let's jump right in. So this week's not too much. Biggest thing right now so far is two things: the CSM and the friendly fire. So we'll start with the CSM. The minutes are out. A little less info than we were pretty much told we were gonna get. We were told there was going to be info on SOV and corps, and that there would be, huge discussion threads open once the minutes launched, and all of those things are under NDA. And here's a cat.
Did they literally post a cat?
Yeah, there's tons of cat pictures in it with NDA. So here's a cute cat. I was like, okay. Wow. One of the NDAs has a recipe for slow cooked chili, which is actually fantastic. So thank you for that, I guess. It looks really delicious, so I'm gonna make that one of these days.
Right.
But yeah, it's the CSM and the minutes.
Well, I mean, it's kind of an interesting situation this go around because they've only got like 7 people and they're talking nominally about Sov Nullsec, but the people who they sent, so you've got Corbex, who's a wormhole guy, Core Blood Brothers, however the hell you say his name.
There you go. Congratulations, you finished it.
I used my words. He's a Pravi guy, so he comes from like the Pravi fishbowl attitude towards Sov, whatever that is, something about role-playing probably. He's not actually a role-player to his credit, and he looks like he's a fairly well-put-together gentleman. Scion, Pro-God Legend, and then Ali Aras, who doesn't really do anything with Sov, Sugar Kyle, who's low-sec, and somebody who I'm forgetting, I think.
Pro-God Legend?
No, I mentioned PGL. I see that they posted a CSM selfie picture or something, and I'm not really sure how relevant that is. But yeah, it was a weird thing. We got the minutes out very early. Like normally you have to wait forever for the minutes, and now we got the minutes as soon as possible and found well, I guess there was some stuff in there about spaceships.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, they waited I think the last day to do the actual Sov talking, and I was
NDA. We can't talk about this.
They talked about something that pissed me off. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Was it your posting?
What we were told about
That would have been your posting.
What we were told about Sov quoted is their discussion of a work in progress on sovereignty design, with the goals included spreading fights over larger areas and removing the requirements for hit point grinding. Those were the two things that they mentioned in Sov, and that was largely it. And that the specifics are still being discussed and are under NDA, so we are not allowed access to that information.
Great.
Oh. That was very nice.
Okay.
Chat says talking about culture should be allowed this week since we're not on Alex's internet.
Well, Hotspot, we'll talk about
his
that.
His internet can't handle anything cultural.
My internet can't handle culture. We've got too many anime wall scrolls over here.
That's what happens when you live in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay, we will answer that question because Hotspot is one of our lovely subscribers, and we'll get to that in a bit later on. I'll make a note on the show roster. But the CSM stuff, actually, I'm literally going to type down here right now, talk about culture for Hotspot.
Don't worry, it's in my notes too.
If you get to the end of the show, we will manage to go through. Oh, Xander, I forgot Xander. Somebody points out in chat. Yeah, Xander Fina, formerly of Gents, had a sort of flaming meltdown and is nominally with PL now, I think, and he's running again. PL is running Manny and Bam Stoker in the upcoming CSM elections, both of whom are cool dudes, and that should be fun to see. But I don't know. I haven't seen much player reaction. I mean, watching our Goonstorm Jabber and like our guys and our directorate, like every day the CSM minutes would come out, we would go through them, and then we would basically go. We had essentially the same reaction as we had to the most recent expansion release. Do we even remember the name of Proteus? Was this one that just happened?
Yeah, Proteus.
Where it was like, hey, we did a thing to combat recons. That was basically our reaction to the minutes this go round.
Yeah,
now,
I died to one of those combat recons the other day solo streaming because I couldn't descan it out, and I lost my extra Navy issue. I was pretty sad.
Did somebody actually have a gang of combat recons?
No. In Losec, they use a smaller ship to sit inside a Plex. And be bait. So you warp into the Plex expecting, all right, I'm going to brawl this dude that I can actually fight. And then there's this curse sitting there 30k away. And with it, it sits savage, 30k away, nuding you, and you're webbed by the other ship, and you can't get to the curse to kill it, and you're just frustrated and annoyed.
That's good,
amazing.
though. I mean,
I'm not bitter at all about this.
No mad in this room to be had. So I think we'll segue this into the most interesting thing that came out of both the '07 show and the CSM minutes, which was the corp aggression, like intercorp aggression changes. So friendly fire, they want to give you the option in a corp to turn this off, and I think we all have opinions about this.
Well,
This is the one where remember a few seconds ago when I was like, I read something that really
That
pissed
made
me
me-
off, but I couldn't
Was-
remember what it was.
Was it this?
It was this.
I
Yeah.
figured it was
It
because I'm in the
this.
same boat as you, where I'm like, okay, I guess I kind of get maybe where CCP's coming from with this. You know, new players getting AWOCs day one in a corp, not really great, but I want to AWOCs people, and I should be allowed to do. I mean, I've never done it, but like if I wanted to, like, I don't know, it was just fun.
What if I want to shoot my friend because
Yeah.
there's an insurrection or
What
whatever.
if he's just being a d-bag and I just want to
Yeah.
shoot him because he's being a d-bag? Like, and now I can't. What?
The way I distilled it in my head when I originally wrote a really angry post on TMC that I don't think I actually posted was you can't spend a lot of time there are a few things that people don't get that are a core of Eve, right? Eve has never had the largest subscriber base in the world, but it's had a core that stuck with it. That core likes certain things about it, and those certain things about it are those things that differentiate it from everyone else. That's why it's there, and that's why it's been able to survive. Things like being able to shoot my buddy are one of those things. Having some dickhead with the director role be able to decide whether or not I can shoot my gun or not is anathema to
Anathema.
anathema. There we go. Yeah,
There we go.
sorry.
Fancy words.
Yeah, anathema. I was trying to be like my Wisconsin PhD friend here. It's anathema to what I think Eve is supposed to be, right? Which is kind of this no rules, whatever world. Maybe you make it so you can't. I get the delineation between Empire and not, where maybe there's some magical space computer wizardry that happens that keeps your shit from working in Empire.
There's no way that's going to ever happen.
Now, out in lawless space, for me not to be able to shoot my friend is fucking retarded.
It's no security space. There's no one there to govern my actions except for some body that I maybe like or don't like.
So here's what I don't understand: is this toggle, like, just to clarify this, this toggle works for regardless of what security rating, like even if you're in nullsec or in lowsec, if they turn off friendly fire, you can't.
There's going to be a little checkbox,
it's a
checkbox in the
switch.
corp management or something.
It's a switch. It takes 24 hours to work, and it's the current state. So if you're friendly fire allowed or not, it's publicly visible, and
Okay.
it sends a notification to everyone in your corp when you turn it on.
So here's my attitude towards this, and I'm going to kind of devil's advocate this a little, but not entirely, because that's just dumb. Look, there is a business interest, in my view, in having new players shift from playing the game in high sec. You come in, you play this terrible tutorial, and you're alone, right? The goal of the game is to get people integrated in groups so they get them to join the corporation. A lot of corporations in high sec that have experienced an AWOXer from a supposedly new player, like a 10-hour hero or something like that, they are less willing to let people in. So from a game design plan and from a not going bankrupt plan, it would be sensible to allow that option to be turned off in high sec. Because you want people to come in and be able to join a corp and not have those corps say, no new player, we think you might be an AWOXer, fuck off. You want to have a safe place to get people integrated in the community, start playing the game, get hooked to the game, and then move out to nullsec or someplace like that. But there is absolutely no reason for this to, like, I'm against high sec AWOXing, which is kind of surprising to a lot of people. Like, I think that you should be able to do that just to get people into the game and make sure that the game doesn't go bankrupt and die. But there's no reason that should be there in low sec and in null sec.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
at that point, you're supposed
that's
to be
what they
fucking
said.
grown up, right?
Also, if you're gonna be a guy that shoots a new guy in the first, you're a bunch of dicks anyway. Better that he figured that out up front. Like, I don't know what the fuck they're trying to. They're like, I don't know. This is like Obama's CCP, where they're trying to like stick their fingers in everyone's lives and tell you how and what not to do. It's fucking ridiculous.
People in chat are saying that it's only Concord, so apparently it gives you like a flag. So if you go into high sec or something, you get shot.
I don't know if it's maybe it is high sec only, and that would mean it would just trigger Concord.
It's only for
aggression.
Concord. Okay, so if it is,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what they're saying. I skimmed all the notes about this because those notes were.
Elise
Extensive
Randolph says he thinks it's so if you shoot a friendly in high sec you get concorded and in low sec you get suspect flagged.
Wow.
Well, at least Randolph, let's be honest, not the brightest boy. So let's take that with a grain of salt.
You take that back. Randolph is wonderful.
Oh,
He's
know,
a friend of mine.
yeah, at least he's a buddy.
Okay. Well,
At
Chad is
least-
letting us know that it won't affect anything in nullsec, and that's good. So
Last time Darius Johnson was on here talking to Elise, he called Elise Randolph the lawyer who represented the cop.
I told everyone on last stream that he was the one who actually got the cop
Garner
ruling overturned in the Eric Garner.
oh wow,
And it was like the day after too. So
that's amazing.
Well,
Okay. I don't know how I feel about it. It's still a little weird.
I think that people are twitchy about this because there is a shift in what we're seeing from CCP where they are intentionally reducing the complexities of the game in order to try to make it more viable, remain a going concern, to try to get the subscriber curve to go upward, which in general are good ideas. But I mean, I know that Darius and I have disagreed vehemently on the idea of like removing attributes, or I would like to see learning implants removed because I think that they're a disincentive to PvP. I liked having the clone grades removed. I liked the extension of the queue.
the clone thing has been amazing, like especially for my streaming, because I go out and lose a faction frigate and then I let them pod me, and that way I get instantly back into the marketplace where I leave my clone, I buy a new ship, and I'm back out and flying in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
when they turn that into a real cash store, they'll be rolling in the dough.
Yeah.
You'll be able to spend money that much quicker.
Yeah.
Well, they are
CCP
adding skins now. I mean, we're starting to see the first dev blogs where they're actually implementing a real skin system, catching up with every other game.
Yes.
No, that's not.
What?
Well, they've
Every
been
other
promising.
game doesn't try to render thousands of people in one place. Like, there's a lot
That's
of technical
true.
reasons
That is true.
that they're behind. I
That
wouldn't
was a
act
cheap
like
shot
they're a
on my
bunch of
part.
dicks.
Cheap
Yeah.
shot, and there you go.
And that's actually my kick to that would be I'll be shocked to find out they've overcome those technical problems.
It'll be interesting if it works. I mean, they've been talking about doing some sort of skin system for ships for ages. Like, I mean, going back, I mean, if you remember in the 2007 Fanfest, one of the videos that they showed, it was a big deal that they were going to put Alliance logos on ships. And, that was 07. That was, 8 years ago? So, yeah.
But can I buy my ship a hat on
they showed a
Steam?
video of you flying over a planet. Like,
yeah, that's after a while. Like I really just got like, oh hey, like here's a video at FanFest. It's saying a thing.
Okay.
Okay, great.
I'll see that when it happens,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
But
all right.
yeah, the big thing for CCP is new player focus. You've seen it throughout these last couple of patches. You've seen it through the notes. The CSM minutes touch on it quite a bit. So new player retention is the thing at CCP right now. Scares me a little because I don't want them to put their hands too much in the sandbox. It seems like they've been doing it a little more recently, but I guess we'll see how that goes. And we'll move this onto CCP in particular. So normally we'd have our segue thing, but Matani's not streaming.
We would have the exploding segue.
Yeah.
This is a segue. It is subtle.
So let's talk about CCP as a whole then. So we have a sea-level wipeout that began last year, I believe, at CCP.
Yeah, it was after the Q2 financials,
Yes.
basically. So we don't really know what's going on there because it's Kremlin watching, and one of the funny things is a lot of times, people will play games, but they don't actually really watch the business behind the game. You don't really see sea-level changes reported in games journalism that I've noticed, but because CCP is basically Eve and that's it, what happens with CCP is very relevant to all of us. So after the Q2 financials came out and everybody got a hold of the financial report and like spread it around the player base and analyzed it, they announced in that that the two American C-levels, that would be the CFO Joe Gallo and the CMO David Reed at the time, were leaving the company. They didn't report anything involving the other people on the C-level who left, who were not Americans. And apparently this comes down to not some sort of arcane conspiracy, but due to trading regulations, apparently in Norway, where I believe the CCP stock is actually some exchange there.
we don't there's no stock exchanged anywhere for CCP.
There's stock exchanges. Well, it's a privately held company, but there is stock and it can be
There's
traded.
stock. It can be traded, but it's traded on like a shady market. Like it's, hey,
Like I
will
said,
you find me some people who can buy my stock?
Right. So there's a million in exchange. Well, interestingly enough, well, not really interestingly, I just finished reading Flash Boys, which is a fantastic Michael Lewis book about high frequency trading in the United States, and how there's now this proliferation. Yeah, exactly.
Those face.
Oh God,
He was
amazing.
so engrossed in talking about it. You forget the pinky, Sean.
Oh God. Anyway, so the rest of the C-level was also gone too, with the exception of the CEO. So they lost the CMO, who may have left before everyone. Like, we don't know whether people left or whether they got pushed or what. But the COO, John Hordahl, and the CTO, Haldor Fanar, we were only just recently able to confirm through digging through LinkedIn and stuff like that, that this happened. We heard about it, but we couldn't run an article on TMC pointing to evidence of it occurring or get a statement out of the company. So that's really a thing. The board of directors presumably must have been, like, we can only guess as to what the hell is going to happen. Like, the company isn't going to make a statement and say, like, this is what was going on. The board was really mad because of revenues, and they whacked the entire C-level minus the CEO. But that does appear to be what happened.
Well, you don't have to really be psychic or a company watcher to watch a company cancel a product, gut another product, lay off 1 year a percentage of their company, next year a percentage of their company, and then the following year a percentage of their company. You don't have to watch a company contract and contract and contract, both from a project perspective and an employee perspective, and then go, these guys were doing so well. I wonder why they canned all the guys who made those decisions. Like, it's fairly obvious. I think that it's perhaps not as quick as we would expect in some cases, probably because it's not publicly traded. Like in the US, you'll see it where, you have a bad quarter or two and the board can cut your head right off.
Heads roll.
You're
Right,
dead.
exactly.
Goodbye.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know whether I wouldn't go so far as to say a board did do something in any particular case, but I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that a company that was admittedly, I'm sure they would admit not doing the greatest, had to make some adjustment.
Mm-hmm. What was really interesting to me, because with CCP, so many of the same people have been there for so long. We found out that it wasn't just a lot of the C-level guys. A lot of the senior VPs were gone as well. So one of the guys who was up on stage at Fanfest, nominally being in charge of helping turn Dust around, he was gone, along with the senior VP of business development and one of the original founders of CCP, who left, I believe, during the World of Darkness purge back in April. They ended up forming a little startup in Reykjavik called Solafar or something like that. So, there's a lot of the old crew, friends, I guess, of the C-level group that are just out doing other things.
They've always done that, by the way. All those guys have done that for a very long time.
Have done what?
Started little companies and moved around.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I think Oz might have also been funded by There's a company there called Gogo Yoko that's funded by the same guy, and that's the same guy who funded CCP. So
Gotcha.
It's all. I mean, many industries are what's the word I'm looking for? Incestual. But this in Iceland specifically, incestuous. There we go.
There you go. There's your
and
PhD Wisconsin words.
I got some George Bush-isms. We all can't be fancy fucking law school graduates. I went to the school of hard knocks, my friend. I'm from the streets.
Oh dear.
They had the.
Speaking of Dust, are they still working on Project Legion or whatever, their PC port of Dust 514?
It was funny because we haven't run an article on Dust in a long time on TMC for obvious reasons, and just out of idle morbid curiosity, I was checking out their subreddit the other day, because that's how I kind of keep an eye on things in Dust. And it's funny because nobody is really paying attention to Dust, but their devs are posting like crazy. Like, if you check it out, there's regular posts on changing like vehicle progression. People are actually busting ass on Dust in a way that we've never really seen, and consistently so, since they put the new guy in charge of it. They had those hot fixes. They're tweaking stuff left and right. So it looks like Legion Because I mean, presumably
Right.
they're not doing this work for the
Maybe
PS3.
nobody's
Right.
watching them. Maybe
Right.
they're just out there like yeah, nobody's paying attention. Let's do some shit.
Do it.
Let's just fix this.
It's just a bunch of fucking QA guys out there just been left to their own devices.
The QA team has the source code, and it's just kind of happening.
The leadership's
Feels like
gone.
working here.
It is kind of an opportunity though, because
The door wasn't locked.
like if nobody is paying attention to Dust, then you can just do whatever with it and try to get it ready for Legion. And that's the closest thing they have to a new product that'll come out, because we don't know when Valkyrie is going to be marketable, right? Because where's the platform, right? When is the Oculus Rift going to actually be available?
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's-
I really like
Next
Dust
week,
514,
I have an
like
insider tip
gameplay
that'll
wise.
be available next week.
Really? Okay. I'll
Perfect,
get
there we
ready
go.
to stand in
Because
line at the
DCP
Apple
keeps
Store.
telling us that Valkyrie is ready and is just waiting for Oculus Rift.
Are they throwing?
Oh, I played it.
Bus?
I played
Yeah.
it at Vegas, and
That's
it
what they
felt
told me.
it was basically the exact same thing I played at Fanfest.
That's what.
Yeah, it sounds like they sort of like hit where they wanted to go with it, and haven't really, like, every build that I've heard about, I haven't seen displayed that was much of a change. So
Here's what I see. Here's what I keep seeing. First off, they just went through an acquisition, but secondly, they have so much money that they're content to just sit around and keep fucking with their product. So they've changed the hardware like 3 times,
right.
and they're still trying to figure out what the hardware is going to be when they get to the future. And they haven't learned the PC problem, which is there's always going to be a future. So
Right.
build it and sell it now. You don't buy, if you try and buy a PC of the future today, you're it's going to be out of
Yeah,
date
you can't future
a year from now. Yeah. So I mean,
There's
they
no way.
need to stop fucking around with hardware and just put something on the market and deal.
Well,
Well,
it's
you
also good to have it on the market too, because if you have it on the market, you really give people time to play with it. And I mean, you see this with consoles all the time, is that when the console first launches, you're like, okay, this is cool. But the console and the games on the console don't get better until the end of the life of a console. When great games start, because people have time to play with it, people learn really how to get the most out of the hardware. And Oculus Rift, they just need to release it and let people do that and figure it out.
Well, the
That's
problem you
what
also
Google
run
does.
into is that all the other gaming companies are starting to catch up, because doesn't like Razer have their own
Microsoft, Razer, Samsung's is ostensibly just snapping on Oculus shit.
Okay.
Sony's working on one.
Mhm.
Yeah, so basically everyone.
Yeah, so basically they could have released their version already and
Been the only
marketed
one
it.
in the market.
Right.
Well,
Been like,
no,
look at us,
yeah.
we're so ahead of the curve, aren't we great? Give us all your money, and now they might not have that chance.
And that's actually really scary, because if a Microsoft or Sony beats them to market, you think what's going to make them compete?
Well, John Carmack's like secret sauce in theory.
Oh yeah,
I
he's
mean, like-
There's 3 people who are programmers who hero worship that. I don't want to shit on John Carmack. I have nothing against John Carmack, but my fucking Facebook.
There's a
wall
black
is-
SV pulling up outside Sean's house right now.
It's video game programmers, and the fucking adoration. Anytime you say anything like, John Carmack, like there was that suit, and I was like, oh, I could see why they could sue there, because he was working for them and whatever else. Oh no, it's John Carmack. He was just helping out. Like it's kind of like being on either side of a political debate. Like you can't be, for whatever
Instantly,
reason.
they tribally identify with Carmack, and
Yes.
everything he does is great. It's
Yeah,
like
it's like-
entrepreneurs sucking Steve Jobs' dick.
Let me
How
tell you
great
about
he
that
is,
time
so.
I took a picture next to one of John Carmack's pubes after he left the restroom. Like, it's just fucking, this is the level of ridiculousness.
Oh dear. Okay, let's get
doesn't
off
surprise
this
me.
topic. This is getting awkward. Let's move away from this. So we missed something while I was going through notes because I'm bad. Fanfest. You pointed out, Matani, that you wanted to speak about a little bit about Fanfest and some of the stuff they were talking about for changes for this year.
Oh, yeah. So FanFest, at first I was like, what the hell were we going to talk about at FanFest? And then I remembered. So they announced in the CSM minutes that a couple things are not happening at FanFest this year that had happened previously. First and foremost, they're not allowing flags on the pub crawl.
Oh, I wonder why.
So-
I have that story. Share the story for our audience who may not.
Okay, so
All
what
ears.
happened last year is, and historically on the pub crawl, you have a big pile of nerds following somebody with a flag such that they can all stick together and
I
basically
actually
be
have
like,
one.
yeah. Oh, really? Are you gonna go get it? Okay, awesome. So we're gonna get to see a flag live here. So the pub crawl would you'd be split up into groups, and you go hit the town, go up and down Laugavegar, get into overly crowded bars, desperately try to get away from the group of spaceship nerds because what you really want to do is hang out with the locals and or just not smell, and then you get trapped. Anyway, so last year, a couple of these groups decided to get all tribal about their number on their silly little flag or whatever. And apparently right in front of a reporter from like Rock, Paper, Shotgun or something, they proceeded to have a full-on knockdown, drag-out brawl because somebody was trying to, there you go, you can see the flag in the background. People were trying to steal the flags to collect them to show like whose group was better and had bigger dicks and more testosterone. And somebody actually got into a street brawl over this fucking bullshit flag and like had to get stitches and shit. Like their blood was shed at Fanfest for the first time I think ever. Like I've never heard of anybody getting beat up at Fanfest.
Wow.
It came pretty close.
I didn't know
tried to
nerds
steal
could
my
fight
flag
each
the year
other.
before. So somebody tried to steal my flag the year before, and I ran him down the street. I was like, that's my flag. 'Cause I was gonna keep it. That's why I have it here. It was my last Fanfest. I was like, that's my flag. He's like, who are you? And I'm just, give me the fucking flag. And I just took it and left.
Doesn't matter who I am. Give me.
Yeah, I'm the
So,
guy that's
like-
gonna take the flag.
So they're doing that, right? So flags are gone. I don't know what they're going to do at the pub crawl now. People just wander around aimlessly and get lost. That's fine.
That's what I did at Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas is awesome.
Right.
Vegas was so good this year. The other thing they're doing is they are changing up whether they're letting the rest of Iceland into the party on Saturday. So like usually the Saturday night party at Fanfest, they have some bands. Hopefully they have DJ Z-Trip again because that guy owns, and they let in, like they sell tickets to the local populace. So you get this hilarious culture clash of spaceship nerds there for Fanfest, and then a whole bunch of
Regular
basically
people?
not regular people, because like sometimes this one year for
These aren't regular people. These are the local.
sorry.
These are like
Sorry.
the local cokeheads.
yeah, this is
I forget what the word for them
Eurotrash
are.
basically. Like
They call them skinkas in Iceland. Skinkas is the word for women, and
It's
I
also
don't
a word for
remember-
ham.
Yes, also the word for ham, and then the word for the men is it's the Icelandic word for saddle because they're like brown and leathery, and they're basically Icelandic Guidos. So if you
Right.
imagine like
it's like Jersey Shore. But
Jersey
Iceland.
Shore,
Yeah.
yeah, that's who showed up that one year. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really awkward because it was hilarious because they all came in and they were all on like, you know, RCs or ecstasy or whatever the hell they were doing back then. And, you know, it was just a hilarious culture clash to see a room full of these guys and these girls with a bunch of space nerds going like, oh my God. And so that's not going to happen this year. Apparently, like the event, the dance party is going to maintain the gender ratio, which FanFest is known for the entire time. So
You mean like the 2 girls that go, and then like the 1 or 2 CCP, or I guess there's a few more than 2, right? Girls that work at CCP, there's like 3 or 4 of them.
Yep.
There's a
So
couple. There's actually a pretty high quantity, actually.
Yeah, I was
You don't
pleasantly
ever see them?
surprised to find that out.
No, a
Besides,
lot of
like,
them are
4
behind
of
the
them.
scenes. Yeah, but like there's like 4 or 5 or whatever that you see just as a public face even, and that ratio is fairly high throughout the rest of the company.
Which is ironic because it's not in their game. It's the exact opposite,
yeah.
actually. I think Eve has one of like the lowest player rates for girls
I think
out there.
Eve is like arguably the single most gender biased game that exists, and that's
Well, if I
really
was a-
obnoxious.
If I was a girl, I wouldn't want to play.
Well, they had that "This Is Eve" video, and a bunch of I guess feminists were pissed off that there's no females FCing in the video or something.
There's
I
like
you
no
could have just
girls
said
at
feminists.
FC.
Oh,
You
okay,
could have just said feminists, and we would have known they were pissed off.
something
We're
feminist.
the
about
meta
to
show.
piss off so many people. Oh my god.
Is this the meta show, or is this like, you know, the Bill O'Reilly Power Hour or something? Like
Look, you
we're gonna
can use
become a
that-
Fox News affiliate or something.
You can use that with any like protest group though. Like you could have said, you know, men's rights people, and they would be mad too. It's the nature
God.
of somebody who identifies as a protester to be angry about things.
That's actually
So
a good point.
Yeah, I don't mean it.
If
to
you
generalize
identify
women.
as you are angry about a thing, like you are, I'm a
You're angry about
whatever.
a thing.
Like I'm an environmentalist, and I'm mad
Yeah.
about.
Well, I was on Twitter yesterday, and there's a bunch of people bunch of guys posting them wearing shirts or menaced shirts, and I just face palmed.
Menaced.
Menaced shirts.
Furby makes a good point. This show's gonna hit Tumblr now, and we're gonna get even more viewers, and they're all gonna be mad. It's gonna be great.
That's
Great.
excellent.
I'll be one click away from a really cool recipe collection.
All right, so once we hit 3K viewers, I'm gonna call Grath. Then he can drop an N-bomb.
That's a
Wrath and
brilliant
Jeff Rader.
idea.
And then we'll go to like 10K viewers just from that.
And then we'll get banned off Twitch.
Well,
That'll be
yeah.
great.
Anyway.
So let's move on to nullsec. So obviously we talked last week about Imensia or Imensi or however the fuck it's pronounced. Who gives a shit? And DBRB. And you know what's going on with goons down there. So Laz, you want to head that up? What's going on with fleets?
So lately, I've been doing 3v3 arenas in World of Warcraft, and my rating has gone up about 200.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I meant about Eve, but okay.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah, we've been doing things in Imensia. The Russian or Pandemic Legion has pretty much reclaimed everything that was taken by Solar and friends. So they are now going on the offensives, from what I've gathered from PL, and at least might still be in chat and be able to clarify. But yeah, I got really mad at my fleet last night. I believe that was streamed. Yeah, they're being dumb.
It looks like DBRB managed to like wipe out how many fleets has DBRB killed?
He has killed 3 fleets now.
I think today that he wiped out a rattlesnake fleet?
Yes. It was last night. Last night during the op that I got mad at my fleet, K-Killer said that the Russians actually dropped void bombs, and then DBRB happened to be bombing at the same time, so they ended up killing like 30 or 40 rattlesnakes with one bomb run.
Wow. I was wondering how that was even possible. So the void bombs explain that, because I'm like, okay, Ishtar's bomb, okay, fine, but rattlesnakes, the fuck, that's not easy.
This is the space equivalent of walking out of your house and having someone drop a piano on you.
It's exactly a cartoon. It's like a Bugs Bunny. It's like
the first
coyote.
But the first one, it's 3 times. It happens every time you walk out of your house, and you still walk out of the house. Like anyone who gets killed by
it's like
basically Wile E. Coyote.
It's like Edge of Tomorrow. Tom Cruise, every time he dies, he wakes up again and relives the day.
Except that each time they don't get better, they just keep dying over the DBRB. It's not like they're like, oh, this time I'll avoid the bombs. They just keep.
Basically, it's like DBRB is just going out and putting a little thing with a sign next to it that says bird seed, and it's got like a big bullseye underneath it, and they just keep flying on in.
And he's sitting there on the other screen rubbing his hands together like, ha ha ha, watch this.
He's got, his hands are a little larger than that, but yeah.
Well,
And they're covered
that
in
was
chicken
subtle.
grease,
That's
so they
a
move pretty
very
fast.
subtle fat joke right there. I appreciate it. Wow. No, it's kind of like weird, because we thought that I don't think many other people are getting wiped out by bombs, because a lot of the IS Boxer crew stopped playing as much after the January 1st IS Boxing ban, so people can't easily run an entire couple wings of bombers all by themselves. But DBRB seems to have gone into the breach with player-run bombers and is just absolutely
actually,
everything.
Kunmi Odell has been in all of his fleets, and N3 has been sending mad broadcasts about, well, we thought IS Boxer was banned, and he's multiplexing and all that, but no, he's running it all by hand. Like, he's running all of his alts and he's bombing by hand. So all you mad fuckers, I was going to censor myself, but no.
Back when Mr. V pioneered this art that DBRB is now copying, I used to quad box bomber. Like, it's really easy to box bombers when you're using them in the correct way. Yeah,
in a bomber fleet, because you basically have to warp where you're told and fire the bomb, and whatever. It's not the hardest thing.
Just 1, 2, 3.
No. You say that it's not the hardest thing in the world, but we all play Eve here, and if you ever tried to coordinate nerds in Eve, it is literally like hurting children. It is the hardest thing. It is not easy. No offense to everyone. Sorry, I best seed.
Yeah, and if you think bombing is easy, watch every Alliance tournament where a bomber's been in ever, and watch what these hilarious retards do. Like bombs going in the wrong fucking.
Well, to clarify for Chad, IS Boxer isn't banned, just the key broadcasting or the multiplexing.
Right, you can still use it. You can still use it to use multi.
If you watch my streams, I'm always using it for screen management.
Input multiplexing is a nominated.
Their big issue with stopping things like that, having a guy with 3 wings full of his alts in a fleet. bombing things, which is now considerably more difficult because now you actually have to go through and like, do stuff in these individual screens. As opposed to just hitting one button on all your stuff just goes. So, that's the point we're making. It's more difficult to bomb now.
Except Udell, who's apparently still alive.
Who's just amazing.
Yeah.
So.
He's the one person CCP allows.
He's basically a living weapon in Eve. Like he's really, really good at what he does, and he's been doing it for a long, long time. Let's see.
So the other thing we were going to talk about, which were there in our show notes, there's brackets and the word meh beside these 2 points. But Sword Dragon lost his Titan. And
Sword Dragon did lose his Titan.
Well, it wasn't actually his Titan. He was borrowing it from a guy who was inactive. Yes.
Maybe he shouldn't have told it because he told everybody he told everybody that it was his. Like we were like, oh, I don't recognize this character, and his sort was like, yeah, I lost it. I assumed it was actually his character before we published his story on it.
Yeah, he posted somewhere that that's the second Titan that I've lost that wasn't actually mine.
Wow.
Was it?
Wow. Well.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe no. It was his character, but he was borrowing. It was somebody.
Yeah, I believe so.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. It wasn't like he was borrowing somebody's Titan character.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that's a little bit less scandalous.
Why would you loan him a Titan? Just out of curiosity, like whoever. I want to talk to this guy who gave it to him.
Who was like their thought process of this is a good idea? Like that was the conclusion.
Yeah, like my wife has had a couple car accidents. I'm not the biggest fan of letting her drive like fancy cars. I would have to. She cell phones. She keeps dropping cell phones and smashing the screens. And last time she did, I was like, I'm not buying you a nice phone ever. Then I bought her one anyway. But I'm like,
it's not like Sir Molly.
You're not responsible enough for a phone.
Like, Sort now has
you just answered your own question,
right? Like
we're about to.
We're
about to go on Tumblr again for talking about how women are bad drivers because you just implied it.
I said my wife. I said my wife, not all women.
That doesn't matter. That's
he could be gay. Maybe he calls his life partner his wife.
Hashtag not all women. That'll go on. Hear that in as well.
I'm trying not to be worse, actually. Yeah. Not all women drivers.
So the other thing that had a meh little tag beside it was a Cremoas died. What's that?
Yeah, some idiot tried to take on a guy on a Harbinger with a 300 billion-isk Alliance tournament prize ship and died.
Rip that guy.
Yeah, basically. Like, it's one of those interesting things where, like, those ships are so rarely used and they're so expensive that when somebody loses it, it's, like, more than, like, 4 Titan deaths put together in terms of value destroyed. And it's just a little frigate. It's a Dramiel hull. And the guy just got splattered by some Harbinger, and that was the end of that. And
that was me.
I almost killed an Alliance tournament frigate.
Yeah, I killed him.
120 billion is somebody said.
Yeah, I almost killed a Whiptail on my stream Wednesday night. But I didn't know what the fuck it was. I hadn't been keeping up with the Alliance tournament ships, so it's Whiptail landing on grid, and I burned towards it. And if I'd known what it was, I would have overloaded and gotten on top of it. But alas, I didn't.
Well, it's interesting that people are actually starting to use them now. I mean, I'm glad to see things get used. But...
Well, apparently, he was rather panicking once he saw how close I got to him with my blaster Inyo on comms.
I'm sure he was. That would be terrifying. I'd be like, no, my fancy ship, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'd just be like, my fancy ship, no,
Wow.
It's terrifying, I guess. I don't know. I don't fly expensive ships for exactly that reason. I'm a bad pilot and I know it, so I'm just like, oh no, I lost a Rifter. No big deal.
Let's see. I'm trying to see what other sort of interesting news we have today. I mean, about the only other thing that's been going on is, I don't know. Have any of you guys tried to play H1Z1?
Yes.
I have not played since the loot fix.
Okay,
I haven't played since loot fix either, and I ate a bunch of blackberries. And I teabagged the guy and made him really mad. I'm sorry the video got deleted. It was a really good highlight because I killed this guy, and he was all mad. And I was like, I just owned you. I love proximity chat. I hit with my fists.
Well, in proximity,
he was in the bathroom and I punched him to death. And he was like, I was like, you got owned, bitch. And he's like, oh yeah, way to win it at Alpha Game. I'm like, how do I teabag? I'm gonna teabag you.
You can actually communicate after you're dead.
Yeah, after you're dead, proximity chat still works. So you can taunt them. You can just sit there and taunt them.
Me going up and down, and he tries to. And he's like, yeah, you're big, and I just go ah. So you can't talk.
I love stuff like that.
Well, and then you have the what was it, the F11 gives the double bird. The bird.
Oh my God.
They actually they did fix the loot. I played it last night and it was spawning everywhere. But playing solo can be kind of a pain. Like we need to like run around like idiots and stream it while we do exactly that sort of thing.
Well, I think I'll be streaming I think some Sub Sunday stuff tomorrow morning / afternoon, and I'll probably be playing that at some point.
Like I think we need to like all get on one server and then like build a little tree fort, because that's what everybody does. I went exploring in the woods, and it's all like these metal shacks.
You just want to leave in a wooden cabin with Darius is what it is.
Right.
I'm streaming tomorrow night, and if I don't get my other PC hooked up, which I might not because my time keeps leaving me, then I can't do GTA. So I'll do H1Z1 tomorrow night.
Are you in a rocking chair, or are you just uncontrollably rocking back and forth?
I can only sit still for so long.
I understand.
So
let's while we talk, let's let people leave Q&As, leave questions for us. And if you want to talk about culture, finally, to satisfy Hotspot.
Oh God. Okay, so Hotspot wanted to ask about what I tried to talk about last show and got repeatedly like cut off, which was basically the difference between how these online communities like Something Awful or Reddit or 4chan, how that's reflected in the cultures of the entities in the game. Like, so when 4chan made Broski, which was their corp, Reddit had Test and Brave Newbies, and Something Awful has our thing. And like going to different events and stuff and hanging out with these guys, it's kind of curious to me. So like Goon Meets, like the story I was about to tell is like when I went to Testival for the first time. At Goon Meets, usually there's a tremendous amount of like criminal activity. Right?
Did you go to Testival?
I did. I went to the first one.
I have a story about Testival.
Oh God!
Wow.
So this is
That's
kind
like
of
going to.
an
That's
off
not
story.
like going to a Goon Meet. That's like going to Goon Camp.
No, I had no idea. I had
Yeah.
no idea what was about to happen. So
Because Goon Camp is something different.
I know.
Than a Goon Meet. Yeah.
So like in the beginning, when Goonswarm and Test, like when we were like, oh, Reddit has come into this game, and we're gonna try to like make sure unfortunately we don't have the spin zone graphic.
We do. No, we got.
Oh,
it.
you do? Can you play the
We
spin
got
zone
it.
graphic? Okay.
Here it comes, because we're talking about Goons and Test, right?
Spin zone. Now is the time. So when we first saw Test join Eve, we were like, we're never, now is our opportunity to make good. We're not going to allow what happened to us with Band of Brothers attacking us. Everybody say hello. Everybody
Hey,
say
Aria.
hello. Hi. So wave to the stream. So when that happened, we're like, oh, we're both internet communities. Like, we're going to make sure that these guys don't try to be, exterminated or expelled from the EVE community and persecuted like the old guard tried to do to Goonswarm when we first joined the game. We put them up in the Testagram or what have you. And then 2013, I think, was the first Testival, which was like their big thing, and it's down in Chicago. We used to have Goon Meets down in Chicago all the time. In fact, there's one coming up in like 2 weeks, which is going to be awesome. Your typical Goon Meet, people get wrecked. We go out to a club. We go to a gay bar. We sing show tunes. Everybody's drunk. Everybody's high. It's chaos. Things happen, right?
He means high on life, by the way, people.
Yes, of course, high on life.
Of course.
So
Don't do drugs.
yeah, no.
Well,
no,
getting
no.
drunk, where I come from, getting drunk is also being high.
Yeah, depending upon what state you're in, there's nothing wrong with getting high. We were in Chicago, so when we went to Testival, like I had this idea that the cultures of Test and the cultures of Reddit in general and the cultures of Something Awful were similar because internet communities. And I go to Testival, and a few of the Chicago goons and I show up, and everybody's being very nice. Like when we go out to bars, it's okay, and then like the big event itself is a bunch of people like sitting around with like folding tables, talking quietly about spaceships, and they just sat there. And
we played Cards Against Humanity, and it was amazing.
What's your favorite Magic card?
Yeah, like and there was a lot of people who were like wallflowers, and so we're sitting around, and me and some of the Chicago goons are like, "What the hell? What is this?" Right? So after a certain point later on in the evening, everybody is blazed as hell because like we're like, "This is so weird."
No, not everybody. Goons was blazed as hell.
All of our
sitting
people.
in a room, Matani sitting in this giant fucking chair, sitting like this, like a fucking godfather, in the center of
I'm,
this
like,
room with
falling
all his
asleep
goon,
in my
with
chair.
all his goon minions around, and all the people from Test are like, I don't want to go in that room. I'm just gonna stay out of that room.
So we're like,
Hold on, I gotta play the
Winter
spin zone graphic from the Test member to Matani.
so we're like, at this point, we're not like trying to be all cool. It's the only room in the house that actually has air conditioning, which is why we're there, right? It's the summer.
So you were trying to be cool.
Well, we were trying to be cool. So, and we're just like, what the hell? We got basically like, you know how you can get defensively drunk? Like you're in a situation that's awkward and you're like, I need to start drinking now to be able to be on the level. We got
To lower my
defensively drunk.
inhibitions.
Like me and Fraba, we're just gonna get blazed. So towards the end of the evening, we're just like, what the hell is this? Like now is the time. It's a Saturday. Let's go clubbing. We're gonna go to a bar, right? We're gonna go out here. We're gonna go do something that involves fun.
We had fun, just because you didn't have fun.
Yeah.
Yes, well,
everybody's
apparently-
definition of beautiful is different. Alex.
Yes. So we all ditched and we went clubbing and went out to Five Guys and got hammered and had a grand old time. And after that, I realized that the structural differences between Reddit and Something Awful actually made a difference in how they were reflected in people hanging out. Now, here's where we get to like the fancy words, PhD bullshit. And Sean, this is a perfect opportunity for you to make a
Take
face.
notes.
Yeah,
Take
get
notes.
I'll
ready
make
to
a face,
make a
don't worry
silly
about it.
funny face. Okay, there we go.
I can't anticipate it. I need you to start
Okay.
talking so I can become truly
He's like
disgusted.
Zoolander.
I'm not Keanu Reeves.
Like Blue
I'm not
Steel,
well
right?
rounded.
You're gonna see Darius Johnson's Blue Steel come out right now.
So on SA, you have to pay money to get on the forum, right? You got to like, there's the $10 filter, and you can't really join any of the goon groups, most of them, unless you actually post and have a posting history. So you have to socialize, you have to put yourself out there, you have to say a thing and risk getting hazed, because goons are terrible to each other, particularly if you're like signing your posts or just saying some dumb bullshit. We troll the hell out of each other, right? So this kind of self-selects when you get a bunch of goons together for a goon meet. A bunch of really socially aggressive people who are relatively thick-skinned, willing to take risks, are required as part of that culture to, if they want to interact with other goons, they have to put themselves out there. They have to risk getting banned, losing their $10, getting the shit trolled out of them, being mocked for whatever. So when we go party, it's usually fairly balls to the wall. With Reddit, it was interesting because at Testival I noticed that you don't actually have to put yourself out there to participate in the culture. You can be in the organization without ever posting, without risking anything, and you can sort of passively upvote and downvote things to be part of the culture. You can post and have your name be known. So like there's different levels of anonymity. On the SA side, you have to be a person and your views can be traced back to you and you can get the shit trolled out of you and mocked for that and hazed and be punished by the community for not, living up to the standard of posting. On Reddit, you can be anonymous if you feel like it. You can participate passively by upvoting and downvoting. You can be a wallflower in a fucking trilby and talk about spaceships and not want to go out to a bar or a club. And then in the extreme of things is 4chan, where nobody has an identity. Nobody is ever anything other than anonymous. Like if you see pictures of like the fucking like 8chan or 4chan meetups, it's like, oh my God, it's like Testival, but worse. And it's just curious to see how the accountability in the leadership in the game and the social behaviors of the players reflect what online institutional structure they come from. So that's the culture discussion.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, all the people that attended Testival are not people that are afraid, so to speak, to put themselves out there. There was no people at Test that you would call anonymous or people that you were like, whoa, I didn't even know you played this game. Everyone who's at Testival posts all the time, is all over the forums, is I don't want to say loud because some of them are, some of them are not, but they're out there.
Excuse me, Nystrick, this is the meta show. We don't defend Tests in the show.
I'm not. It's not really a defense. It's just
please.
Well,
please.
to be fair,
Just so you understand.
like
Also,
the
it's
people
not
who
like
showed up,
dropping down $10 on SA to buy Dog Boner 75 instead of 76 as a username is a real fucking obstacle.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I don't know. I'm used to people getting, partying wildly and doing interesting and wild things. We pretty much never talk about spaceships at Goon Meets. Like, you get a bunch of people together and then you just go party. But that was what I was trying to talk about last night last show when the internet just kept cutting us off. It's curious to see this. Like the Reddit organizations, their pilots are just as good as goons, right? Like the line pilots do everything just the same, but historically they keep running into leadership difficulties. Like, I don't know. And that's kind of what we were going after last week. And the internet didn't crap out. So there we go.
You're supposed to do the last week.
Did they just release the day 4 minutes? They actually did. I didn't even realize there was a day 4. So the
I didn't
CSM
either. I thought it was day
the CSM minutes just got released. They were just linked in chat.
This was probably
4
the
minutes
interesting
ago.
day. This was probably the interesting day.
Yes, it is on the internet.
No, there's nothing on here I care about.
Yeah, nothing looks interesting.
Yay.
I'm just trying to skim this as quickly as I can.
What are the subtopics? Like, what are the...
Tools.
Oh, we
Oh,
just got a new.
PG107!
Yes.
Oh, we got a subscriber!
Hey, excellent.
Oh wow.
Art and graphics session, don't care. It's actually pretty much the best run area in CCP.
He only subscribed so he can see Blue Steel from Darius Johnson.
I need to come up with a
I have to have this. I
shitty
think it's like
stare.
Ooh, I like it.
Quick, strike
Like,
a pose.
I have a ridiculous
Calm
looking
down,
face,
everybody.
and
Put your
so
boners away.
I gotta come up. I don't know. Like, let's see. Much of this session wrap up with the executive producer.
Oh,
Almost
I think we
everything
just got
is
another one too.
NDA'd. Subscribing and following our channel actually has tangible benefits besides just making us feel good and supporting the site. You do actually get preferential roles on the giveaways that we do at the show, which we'll be doing in a minute.
Also, your stream when you watch it, when you're subbed, you actually get to see us from the waist down as well. You get to see the whole.
You get to see that I actually am
You
wearing
get full
red pants
frontal.
right now.
You get to see what we're wearing below
Mhm.
our shirts, because like me, for example, I wear like these nice shirts and then I'm like sweatpants.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay,
You
so
get
I'm
the
looking at
behind the
this. I'm looking at the CSM session. I'm just going through this as quickly as I can to see whether anything leaps out to me as even vaguely relevant. If you're in the chat and you're reading this thing too, type out if you see anything that actually matters. Scion said the CSM hides behind the NDA more than CCP does because the CSM can call CCP on stuff, but CCP can't call the CSM on stuff. There's a lot of information that gets hidden behind the NDA, so the CSM has to police and call out itself. Honesty is important. Vote for Scion. That's actually a very good point on his part. Spin zone graphic goes here. Okay, I don't really care about the CSM meta stuff. Session on community. Wow, there's just nothing here. A session on community, a session
Okay,
on
let's
CSM.
do a giveaway. What are we
Wait,
gonna give away?
we had Q&As. Do you actually mark down
No,
the Q&As?
we didn't
Wait,
get
wait,
any.
Why don't we give something away for the best question? Can we do that, or do we have to do random
Well,
shit? Can we
we have to have.
preferential?
We pretty much have to have roles.
Yeah.
Because
Well, we've got 10 minutes, and then I've got to walk out the door. So.
Okay, so
Okay.
why don't we go ahead and
Well,
do
why
the
don't we
first
give something
giveaway?
away to celebrate that
So,
retard getting
We'll
out of
make
here?
the word Scion.
Get the keyword. Get the fuck out.
No.
Fourth wall. We were just gonna end on time. We were just gonna end on time.
The keyword is gonna be Scion, just to.
I just typed it into chat so people can say it'll be Scion, and we're going to give away an Orthrus today in honor of Elise Randolph. We keep giving away these faction ships that are very pretty but not necessarily good for murdering people.
What are we
And
giving away?
An Orthrus.
Oh, okay.
Arthur's
Do you know what an Orthrus is?
It's amazing.
Do I know how to spell it? No. Do I know what it is? Yes. As in, I know what it is. As in, I've seen it.
Sounds like orifice.
Where is
It's
Laz
a
going in 10
really
minutes?
weird- It's a really
Nice.
weird like ship name. I don't know where the hell they got that. Like,
It's got like a fucking 75k scram.
Yeah,
it's
75k long point.
It's like the best
with
page.
Nobody ever expects the 75k.
No, what? That's amazing. I want this
Well,
ship now.
you have to buy a faction rope disruptor and then run links and then overheat and then you point things at 72k.
So I'm gonna enter because I want this. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
You're gonna run the giveaway and then make sure that you give it to yourself.
Oh, weird. I won.
Make sure that you are following the
Okay.
channel. If you are not a follower, you will not be able to be eligible for this. And subscribers get like I think a 3 or 5 times
Ooh,
bonus
we have,
chance to
why
win.
don't we give away an H1Z1 key too?
That for the people
Can we
asking
do
where Scar. Oh, actually,
can't.
I've got some keys. I don't know if Scars is giving them out, but I can send the key.
I know we have them and we have them to give away.
I've
we have
got
them to
5
give away?
keys, but I don't know
I
if
think so.
so I can give a key and then pray that Scars hasn't actually.
Why don't we tell someone we'll give it away and then just not give it to them?
No one will ever know.
All right.
Why don't we make sure that we actually have the keys
Yeah.
to give away?
I've got 5 keys. So.
But you said that you weren't sure if they were even
No,
good or not.
let's
Well-
give our administrative. We'll get our administrative shit together and then we'll give it away.
Tomorrow,
Yeah,
why don't
well-
you guys, for Sub Day Sunday, why don't you guys give away H1Z1 keys if we have
We'll
them?
do that.
That's a good thing because those are actually the keys we have are for I believe the premium level of H1Z1.
Yeah, the $40
the $40
one.
value. So we'll give those away on the subscriber party day that Laz is going to be streaming tomorrow, I
You
believe.
can actually
Yep.
swing your axe both ways.
Really?
The premium.
I'm going to
Oh.
roll.
Well, I noticed in
Oh.
H1Z1, like for the premium stuff, you actually get like crates that apparently have new skins for stuff. I haven't actually used them but like apparently you can like get fancy skins for your axe or something.
Conover sits on a throne of lies.
It's not my game. The only game I don't lie about is my own.
Andrew.
I'm rolling. Following. If there's a question mark beside following, that means they're not following, isn't there? Oh, it couldn't be determined. Connection issues or Twitch API down. Should we still give it to him? I've got a question mark beside following. So I don't know if he's. Okay, I did. Now what?
I don't want to keep.
It should be a check mark.
He is a follower, so it's RVVS89.
RVVS89.
That's what you get for sticking to your guns instead of just giving it away. We live in a world of rules.
So just send us a message privately on Twitch to the Matani.com account. Let us know your in-game character name and say that you won the Orthrus RVVS, and we will hand that over to you.
So
if you don't message the stream, you won't get it. So
yeah,
yes, that is how this works.
So one more thing. Let's give away one more thing.
Let's give away a. We haven't given away a Raven Navy issue, have we ever?
Oh,
I'm not sure.
This. No.
They're kind of a bit crap though.
TFIs are pretty popular right now. Everyone's running them. If you'd like to give away TFI.
Yeah, let's give away a Tempest
TFI.
Fleet issue.
Oh, okay.
Tempest Fleet issue? Yeah, they're
I'm
like
sorry,
really,
I'm not up
really
on
good.
y'all's fucking.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is that? So what word are we going to use for this?
Fucking
What
ship
word?
hipsters. Bunch of shipsters.
Ship hipsters. That'll be it. Why don't we do that? All one word.
Shipsters. I like
Shipsters.
Yeah. I just made a new word.
Nystrick is going to type it out so we can get the exact spelling here.
Hold on. It's no caps or anything because I'm too fucking lazy and couldn't be bothered.
Shipsters. God.
I like
Those
it.
are like people who have like horrible like gray hoodies and knit caps and bad beards
long
and
beards.
really earnest.
Yeah.
And those
Trilbies.
shitty glasses and talk about like, how much they care about music.
Oh, wool sweaters. They wear wool sweaters with their big, heavy beards.
Hey, I'm wearing a wool sweater. What you got against? These are comfortable as fuck, okay?
All right. Yeah, you can wear it. Look, hey, ooh. We're just saying. Just saying.
I know, I'm just being an
I
ass.
have a beard too, but I'm not a hipster.
Right.
I don't know way to do that.
These
One
are
of my
like
friends
the
got set
fits.
up on like a blind date with this guy, and she got talked into it, and she
That's
was
how all my blind
like-
dates go too.
Yeah, exactly. So the guy meets her where we're hanging out, and like he comes over and he's this earnest little dude again, like with a fucking knit cap and the scraggly beard, and he's like a little hunched over with his hoodie, and he's got
really
his like
blind?
little. And
You just described where's Waldo.
And she turns to me and is like,
She found him.
and I'm like, oh look, honey, she's your friends have hooked you up on a blind date with with a hipster. He looks so earnest. He's like, fuck, it's a hipster. I'm like, yeah, have fun on your date, enjoy.
Bye.
So
Vegetarian fucking.
yeah,
What do they
like
eat? What do hipsters eat? They're gonna eat out of mason jars.
they
Everything's gonna
eat
have
kale.
to be
Except you can't
Kale.
you drink kale shakes now, Sean. Like you can't.
That's
you
what I
can't
eat
even
in
give me
California.
that.
That's just being in California though.
I was
Look
gonna
how
say.
beautiful. That's why I have such nice skin now. Fucking that is. I don't have your greasy Wisconsin cheese skin.
Bro, Hiroshi, don't hit the Tar Heels.
My greasy Wisconsin. Well, to be fair, on stream, if you look, I
It
look
does
like a
kind of
really.
look like it, right?
That's why
I need to get a
use
better
it.
webcam.
I only say it if it hurts, and it's true. I would make up something.
It is true.
Oh god. Okay, I'm gonna roll this. Astronaut Nautistic? He won last week.
That's a great name.
What? Astronautistic?
Astronautistic. Nautistic.
Well, subscribers do get an increased chance to win.
Yeah, so he won again.
That is the benefit.
This is why you guys need to subscribe. This is like the second or third time he's won.
Awesome. Go ahead and send us your character name and remind us that you won the TFI, such that I don't forget and give you an orca by mistake, because that would suck.
Someone's name came up last week, and I think it was his. He won, and he's saying that he's never won.
Yeah, fuck it, I'm trying to plug the holes.
Before. Pretty sure he's lying.
That's amazing. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for coming. I think we're going to wrap that up, wrap the show up, so Laz can go off and do whatever. I'm going to try to test my streaming capability later on, probably running around tomorrow at some point with H1Z1 and dying hilariously and getting mocked. We might even make a tree fort. And beyond that, thanks for watching, and we will catch you next week.
Bye.
Later, guys.